And it seems like the population is really spread out in the city, too.
It's a sprawling city.
So what are they doing to combat that? Or are they doing anything? Is it the community that's doing it?
I think the community is. I think the community is building from within, and it's just becoming a more interesting place, and that the suburbs can't ignore it anymore. These younger people are like slowly ignoring their parents that say, "Oh, I would never go down to that goddamn city," and they're starting to come down and explore it and say, "Holy shit, this is amazing," and they move, which is great. You hang out right here. You see a lot of urban farming in in these abandoned spots. This guy, he was a 7th grade school teacher, started farming in his backyard. Then he just started taking over properties. Instead of asking, permission of the property owner who leave these properties unkept and unmanaged, he asked permission of his neighbors and say, "Do you guys mind if I farm here?" And the neighbors love it, And so the community works together and helps, build these hoop houses and everything. And now he's doing some larger scale farming, selling to restaurants and stuff like that.
What was this?
So this is Fisher Body. They built all the Cadillac bodies there. It closed in the 90s. Now it's been sitting there for 20 years. It's just a tremendous building with history. Should we take a look around the building, see what's going on? I always try to scout things out a little bit.
Before you go into an abandoned building?
Yeah, not because I'm worried about the scary people inside, but I'm more worried about security, like this guy on our right.
Yeah, security guard's getting our license plate.
He got us. Busted.
Yeah, he's writing them down.
Yeah.
Do they know we're coming?
I don't believe they do.
Should we take a look? Holy sh**. What happened on this floor?
The floor collapsed.
So it's probably not a great floor to be on, huh?
These things are all built in sections. So you see these, these columns are the structural members. So we're fine where we're at. I'd have to really inspect underneath it. So it's a little frustrating about the auto parts folks saying that this will take years to retool. When it was necessary, when we were desperate, they retooled in months. In World War II, all the tanks and everything were created in Detroit.
There's a big f***ing hole right there.
Yeah. We want to stay away from the big openings, just because they could bust us for being in here. So let's stay kind of back this way. So scrappers would come in here and then cut these big pieces out, and eventually this kind of stuff will happen.
There's little holes right there.
Yeah, and there's some stress cracks and things, yeah.
Yeah.
Time magazine, Dateline, this is all they'll show you. And they won't put it in context other than this is scary, this is bad, what the hell is wrong with Detroit? But Detroit obviously is so much more. The possibilities are unique, they're different. You've got artists coming from all over the world moving here and finding places like the Russell Industrial, which is essentially the same space that got converted.
This same size?
Yeah, there's still industrial uses there, but they couldn't fill it with industrial space, so they've actually started converting a big chunk of it into artist lofts.
That's pretty great.
This is one of the floors on the Russell.
Who all's in here?
It's all Detroit artists hanging out, having space where no one can bother them. So it's kind of interesting.
This is great, man. All right. Where would you like to see Detroit at in 15 years?
I want to make sure it's a slow growth so that the community's involved and they're happy with it. If we can just convince 100, like, 20-year-olds a year to move here, I'd be fine with that.
What about 200 two-year-olds?
I like
You kind of have to do it yourself here. There aren't services that a lot of people are used to in other cities. If you want something done, it is kind of best to do it yourself. And there's a lot of people that are getting it done right and are doing it themselves. I'm part of a new collective in Detroit called Omnicorp Detroit. This is our new space. It's about an 8,000 square foot warehouse. Most of the members in Omnicorp Detroit are transplants from somewhere else, and they're choosing to stay here. It's a fantastic incubator for making stuff.
Creative possibilities are somewhat endless. You know, this is probably one of the last cities to where you can still, you know, reinvent. Still like a certain sense of lawlessness, you know, it's pretty wide open.
This is a very bizarrely creative place. I mean, not just from the music industry perspective, but the auto industry was it was a design center of the world. And you have the College of Creative Studies, and you have Cranbrook, and it's sort of a spring that people don't really recognize as there, and yet CCS is dumping all these creative kids into the streets of Detroit every night.
Okay, so this is North End Studios. I am the art director. I really wanted to do something that would highlight the area in a positive way so that people would see it and it would sort of take away from this blight that's going on. Once I realized that I had the space, it was so large, so I invited friends of mine from College for Creative Studies to come and work here. We created a place where people could come and just like listen to music, have fun, and also see artwork. So Jeff is our event coordinator.
So do you want to check out the basement first? Yeah, there's like a rave here in a couple days, or well, tomorrow. But because it's like an old insurance agency, there's all these crazy like old vault rooms and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, this basement's so terrifying. My generation seems to be like rediscovering like all the cool places like this, where you can just like do whatever you want. And at this point, no one wants anything to do with it, so you can. And you have the access to it. Like, you know, like I'm 24 and I have a 9-story building at my disposal.
So this is going to be the Heidelberg Project, and Tyree Guyton was this artist who lived in this neighborhood in the 80s and 90s, and he decided that the best way to combat people selling crack out of houses is to bring attention to a neighborhood. And we'll see in a minute what he did to bring attention.
Wow, that's pretty
cool.
Yeah. This is great.
Yeah. I mean,
I want to hug this guy's mind. And people are respectful of it and leave it alone?
yeah, totally, totally. I feel like when people in Detroit, when they know you're doing something for real and they know you're trying, they'll respect you.
Wow. This is great.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal.
This house right here.
Holy
It's amazing.
It's pretty great.
It's a total DIY city, you know? It's pretty inspiring.
Detroit doesn't need any saviors. People get the idea that you need a huge chain store or sports team or something to come in here and, you know, be the proverbial game changer. We don't need that here. We need entrepreneurs, artists, do-it-yourselfers, thinkers. Detroit's always been a culture of making. We want to keep that alive. It's just going to have to be made a little different way.
Like the whole city, it has to fend for itself.
Yes. There's less resources in a lot of areas, and when people are doing things out of need, I think has far more potential to change our city and kind of change our path.
If you build it, they will come. If you build something and you have a great store or a great idea and you do it well, people will come down here because people want to have a great city.
And remember, Rome was sacked how many times? Berlin was bombed. Cities have always went down. But for some reason, cities come back. And it's people who bring them back.
It's a perfect opportunity for the American dream to be realized that something can come out of nothing. I mean, this is what artists have always done, is create something out of nothing.
You see the stuff they're talking about on the news, but that's not what I'm leaving with. I'm leaving with memories of a bunch of rad people all working together, all doing things for the community. Pretty great.
Long as you hear me.